as expected of the male lead, finally found the core of the problem. So changing the way you fight is simple. If you can't beat it to death, you can swallow it directly. Thinking so, the developer immediately transformed his body. Then he opened his mouth full of sharp teeth and swallowed it whole. Remix into the stomach. Now, just wait until it's digested and shall be resurrected. It's really hard to swallow. The taste is so disgusting. Davidair sharply assessed. He turned back to Green. She is sitting on the ground. Hide your face in your palm. Devar sat down, resting his back against hers. I have a lot of things to say. At least he wanted to tell her. My journey to find lost children these past few days. How hard it is. But Devar also knows that. Green's mood is now extremely chaotic. So in the end, he chose to comfort her first. Green, I was wrong about this. I'm so sorry for what I did. Green's eyes were filled with tears and she felt extremely sad and angry. You don't need to apologize to me. It's all my fault. These are all sincere words. It's not like I'm causing drama. Extremely embarrassed and regretful. Just because of her trivial personal desires. Being pranked by humanity. Almost. Even do it yourself. Even Lord Devar was killed by that curse. Don't say that. The ancient core always needs you. And Lena is also a very important person to me. These words are not too cheesy, but still enough to touch Green's heart. These past few days, she always thought that the developer must be angry. I hate myself so much. But today he himself said it was not. Her mood is always as tense as the strings of her guitar. Just relaxed a bit. You don't hate Greens anymore? I never hated you. But I have something cool to give you. Devar stood up. Take out the claw and cut off the head and bring it in front of Green. This is something he spent a lot of effort to get back. She saw her weapon tricked out of her emotions. Immediately burst into tears. Tears kept flowing like a stream. Green quickly grabbed his claws and beheaded him. Tears fell. Green was afraid of being hated by Mr. Devar. He will not abandon me, will he? Don't say that. Davidair uses actions instead of answers. He held out his hand in front of the Greener. Firmly state your request. Well, let's go back to the ancient core. 85 ago. Davidair leads Greener back to the ancient core for the first time. She is very pretty and small. Patrick hit the rock and evaluated her once. From top to bottom. Insinuating that she was just a dwarf. I met her during the last fire. In Grabinia Forest. Davidair lazily yawned. But then I saw it in the lab. Seeing that there was fate, I took him home with me. So this small body, holding all information and knowledge of the clan. Dwarf, huh? Deviler answers questions for Patrick in an hour. Furthermore, he also rates Greener very highly. Because even though it's my first time here, the world's strongest boss dungeon is the ancient core. She is still very calm and obedient. It's not simply a stubborn personality. Because this place is the devil's lair. Because it carries dense dark energy. That means her spirit and physical strength. Strong enough to face things. Like this. Boss, how do you plan to deal with this child? If you brought drama here, Davar is definitely not that bland. Want to eat her? He saw that this child had great potential. So I want to keep her here to live and teach. She knows how to fight too. What if I can't teach? Then just let her live peacefully here. After all, Lena used to be a servant. If you can't fight, then do the laundry. Just leave it to her to cook something. Wait, boss, are you serious? Who would want to teach it? Patrick showed a disapproving look on his face. This life he hates the most. It's some troublesome things that suddenly fall on your head. Like this, let's cheer up. No way, it's me. Come on, stop pretending to be cold. Black people know that General Patrick just wants to make money. Actually, he is bored to death because he has nothing to do. Suddenly, when you have drama around you, you don't like it too much. What is the use of displaying catfish? Don't know anymore. Patchik asked her name. Davidair vaguely remembers only one word, Leo. Long time, yes. But Patrick criticized this name for being uncool and short. More so if Davidair had adopted her. Then we should give her a new name. We should celebrate this milestone of rebirth. Davidair feels this statement is quite reasonable. He thought for a moment, or call it Runny. And so from that day Green had a name. New is Green Leolo. Her life also turned a new page from here. Patrick is also very satisfied with this child. The first thing he taught her. Not the way to fight. It's the way to smile. Memories are over 85 years old. Now they return together to the ancient core once again. Patrick Jonging welcomed his lord. With a not very gentle attitude. Wow. In this situation you still seem so leisurely. What the hell are you doing in Hasht? Let the ground shake. To the point where even the ancient core feels it. Faced with Patrick's interrogation, Davar didn't know what to say. Now lie and say I'm standing in the middle of the jump. Is cha-cha-cha reasonable? Or be honest. Declare that your identity has been revealed. Still shows its original form teleporting from Leah's to here. And even destroyed a human magic tower. Patrick. The life of a monster is never without exceptions. Isn't that right? The exception is that thing. Patrick pointed at Arian. The little girl was still snoring in Davar's lap. Looks much smaller than the green. The first time I met it was a long story. Davar fainted. Itchy Patrick. Startle. It's not like his boss was out on a mission. You even conveniently kidnap children here? Davar threw away Arian. When you go down to earth, heaven will witness. I also don't want to have to take on this debt. Where is Lena anymore? This is the main topic that Patrick is interested in. Davar stays moist forever. It seems like I don't want to talk about this topic at all. This Patrick we encountered drama in the human village. She looked very tired and weak. I was thinking about the time just passed. Has it hindered her personal life? Forget about Patrick and brush it off. If you've been rejected by her, just say so. Why does it have to be so long and cheesy? Davar was extremely embarrassed when he was said to have hit his heart. To cure the countryside. He requested that from now on Patrick should take Renee's position. Specifically, wearing a maid outfit. And go rule this entire dungeon. Patrick immediately pulled out his resignation letter. Already hidden in the ribs. Boss, this is inhumane exploitation of labor. So what do you think now? Davar doesn't know either. Now there's nothing left to do in the basement. But I will still wait until that happens. I already said it's all over. Now we can only wait for Green Air to change its mind. Then just return here. Although I don't know how long I have to wait. Patrick was also sad. He left first. Because I think right now, my boss probably wants to be alone. But only took a few steps. Patrick saw a familiar figure again. At the cave entrance, long silver hair. Petite body and that maid outfit. Boss, she's home. Who's home? Whoever comes in here is the one the boss has been waiting for. Green has indeed returned. She is still the same as before. Smile brightly and ask. Let Davar prepare whatever he wants to eat. But this time Patrick kept feeling that something was strange about her. Look closely. Green's right eye has turned golden. Boss, did you really give her that too? Are you awake? Patrick looked at Davar incredulously. Just now after destroying the promist. The right eye of the green has also been completely destroyed. Davar didn't need to think anything. Immediately he took out one of his eyes and gave it to her. Along with that comes a promise. If you still have thoughts and keep that stone, then we don't need it. You know when to think carefully. Then give me the love stone next time. That's why Greenie is back. With that new golden person. She even sims her lord. More than before. Green is afraid that from now on, she will definitely always be by the developer's side. Never leave again. A long time later Ariana also woke up. Just opened my eyes. She saw Patrick sitting there sharpening his sword. Next to Arian's 3 souls and 7 souls immediately ascended to the clouds. What, am I dead? The person in front of me is the angel of death and this is hell. Sorry, this is not hell. This is that ancient core. Just heard the 3 ancient core words too. Arian's eyes were shining brightly as follows. The child recognized it immediately. So the person in front of you is not the god of death. It's a dead spirit. Knight Patrick. Patchich gave a thumbs up in agreement. This girl is so smart, isn't she? Seeing that Ariana was awake, Patrick immediately kicked his ass and called Daver. He was sleeping nearby and woke up. He yawned lazily and looked at Arian. Oh, you're awake? Ariana was overwhelmed by this huge appearance. The girl kept gaping blindly but couldn't close him. He is the owner of the ancient core that embodies creation. Defender of God. He punishes cowards. Supreme ancient monster. Sir Davidair Arian knelt down and bowed his head and mouth. Speaks like a record player. Daver kept hearing this familiar sentence. Looks like the time at Lisa. She also praised Lord Daver in an identical sentence. This is right. Haven't had time to wait for him to speak. The Ariana brand talking machine continues to work. Out of capacity. Your Majesty, you don't have to ask for forgiveness. Please allow me to introduce myself. I am the 17th descendant of Demon King Asmodeus. Merzalim Phagia. Even the way of introduction is not different. This child works like a pre-recorded tape player. Well, we know that. How do you know my name? Arian was both surprised and honored. The goddess thought. It must have been Sir Swado who introduced himself to Lord Daver. Speaking of which, I remember where Swado is. She only remembered the last time they met. Swado fertilized the humans in the capital Lys. And stole it back. Just cut off the head. Seeing this brat so senseless. Davar is also lazy. I don't want to hide my identity anymore. I am Swado. Arian's expression gradually became complicated. At first, I was stunned and surprised. After that, his whole face turned pale. Oh, Swado's enemy is Davar. Which Davar is Swado. That is, the person who accompanied her all this time. It is the great Lord Davidair. Arian saw heaven and earth collapsing. So I accidentally disrespected Mr. Davidair? Dev. Boss Patrick suddenly spoke up. Interrupt the conversation between two people. The story Demon King Bell said earlier. About the incident where he fertilized onions for humanity. In the capital paper panning. Why didn't you tell me? Then I got hit really hard and then oh well. At the same time, in the Rapellia forest located on the border of Hashtin territory, there are 2 ordinary people sneaking into this forbidden forest to pick herbs and mushrooms. Suddenly one of them noticed movement nearby. A blonde was seriously injured. Don't know where it fell. Constantly moaning. Seeing the opponent so seriously injured, the kind girl hurriedly searched for herbs in her bag. But I didn't expect the other person to act like a mad dog. Suddenly rushed to bite people. If this face is not Nifrim, then it is still. Who else comes here? Blood splattered all over the lantern that the girl carried. Needless to say, I know what her fate will be. The scene suddenly changed. A tall, thin figure, wrapped tightly in a white cloak. It's tattered, walking wobbly, the direction he went. It is the wall that protects the Hashtin territory. We have to go. At the same time in the ancient core dungeon, a battlefield broke out. But it's not between developers and humans. It's between 2 girls, Green and Arian. If you're a real Demon King, please calm down a bit. How many times has Ariana Green mentioned it? During Lord Davidair's lunch break. Keeping quiet is the most basic rule. No, I won't accept it. I am a free monster who refuses to be constrained by principles. Besides, I came to the ancient core to keep you company. Talk to Mr. Daviderma. The 2 sides oppose each other very fiercely. No one accepts the other. Greena wants to take care of Davidair's sleep. Comes from a long-standing love. And absolute devotion to the Lord. Ariana wants to wrap herself around Davidair. Also comes from the cult from small to large. I don't know if he has a crush like Lena or not. Just know it's me. This girl is also very thoughtful and determined not to lose to Green. Even if just a little. I will stay by his side and warm him, until Mr. Davidair falls asleep. In this aspect, Green is too conservative and passive. She is truly the doctor's type of girl. No wonder the Lord doesn't like her. This saying directly stepped on Greena's combat switch. I don't know where this love rival fell. That means losing position. The only female in her ancient core dungeon. Now you dare to blatantly criticize her. It's a master's thing too. Greena was so angry that her eyes were red and she quickly pulled out her weapon. Damn it, I have to get rid of you. Arian knows he cannot defeat his opponent. Laughing loudly, he jumped up and ran away. Come here quickly. Loudly, lamely, lazily. On this side Patrick is gritting his teeth.
Self-restreint.
So as not to bring those two ducks to make salad. Since Ariana came here, this place is like hell. Not a single moment of peace. Even Davar sleeps 20 hours a day. Now I'm going completely crazy. Because Rini and Ariana are so loud. Makes him unable to sleep. You have no right to criticize them for being noisy. Thanks to someone's blessing, I brought back that debt. That's our dungeon. It's just become such a mess now. Furthermore, out there the world is in chaos. Is it that serious? Patrick knew immediately. Davar didn't bother to read the human newspapers he gave me. So I don't know anything about the situation out there. After the incident, Davar appeared in the capital. Soldiers have been mobilized here to increase security for Lias. That's why. Which villages are located in the border area. Constantly being destroyed by monsters. There's more. I don't know why, but Lord Hasht committed suicide. So this territory is now completely paralyzed. Besides, I've been reading all the newspapers for 3 weeks now. But there are only very few articles about Hasht. You know what that means? No, Patrick just wants to beat the developer. That's right, eating out. Sleeping and going to the newspaper won't accomplish anything. But he really wanted to apply for retirement so bad. So what do you think, Patrick? Patrick is also not very sure with his guess. But he thought that Hasht has now been cut off from contact with the world. It's the outside world. Recently, Black Skin took the form of a monster. Severely destroyed Hasht town. Yet this incident turned out to be unsound. To the point that it never made it to the news. It's really difficult to understand. The reason Patrick is so interested in this territory. Because it is the human village closest to the ancient core. If you keep an eye on Hasht's movements, they can be more proactive. In capturing the conquering fleets coming here. Include their forces. And when did they attack the ancient core? But for now, if Hasht has really been cut off contact, if any conquering team comes there, then definitely, that information is no longer reported in the newspaper. I think, I have to quickly go to Hayton to scout. If left like this, the consequences will be even more unpredictable. That's right, I wish you a safe journey. Don't try too hard and end up trying too hard. Davar thought to himself. Please go away yourself. Please go away yourself. But he just returned after a few days of hard work. Now I just want to eat and sleep. Then I will return as soon as possible, sir. Davidair craned his neck. So easy, Patrick can actually go alone. But don't bring anyone along. But that's fine. As long as he can sleep. Then everything else is not important. But Patrick takes 2 steps. Turn around and throw one at Davar. Not very friendly for Cam Boss. But you don't think. If I go alone, it will be very difficult. I find it better to have at least one more person with me. Blackskin was so scared that he jumped up immediately. Why do we have bosses in this world? Being teased by the staff like this. Davar's vision collided with 2 ducks fighting. Number 1 candidate is Arian. But he did not appreciate this debt very much. Even though she is the Demon King. Magic is also very good but extremely dangerous. If we were to evaluate this girl's magic, it should more accurately be called explosive magic. What if I let him go with Patrick? Then use the spell again. Just like the restructuring in the capital. Then all Harton will perish. Deverer shook his head vigorously. No matter how I think about it, Arian is not suitable. Then coming to candidate number 2, Greener. She is already very familiar with Patrick. But if you think about it carefully, letting Greener walk is even worse. Because compared to Arian, she is much more dangerous. The other part is explosive magic. Then Green's existence is super magic. Super explosive. Especially now that she is in a sensitive period. Hatred of humans. Let Lena enter the human village. Right now it's like a ticking time bomb. At this time, Patrick happily gave his thoughts. Because I don't know how long it will take. Or my lord, come with me. Dear soul, give me money. Davar also doesn't want to go into the human village anymore. But it's true. Currently, he is the only suitable choice. But Davar just wants to sleep. His head suddenly came up with an excuse to avoid it. It seems. I'm the best choice in this situation, right? But suffering. I couldn't transform because of an accident. Broke a dimmer bracelet or something. Deviler cheerfully considered himself too smart. Like this, then Patrick won't be able to force me to go with him anymore. Oh, that's right, without the bracelet. You cannot come with me. That means if you have the bracelet, you will go, right? Oh wait, what? Things are not going in the direction I want. Is that so? In the end, Black Skin was still grabbed by the neck and dragged out of the dungeon. On the go. He kept cursing. Patrick will die in pain. But he just laughed. Because unfortunately Patrick died already. Don't know how. He obtained a similar Demura bracelet. And so Davar had no way to escape. Still have to go with Patrick to Hasht. The precious 20 hours of sleep was shattered just like that. I'm gone and all I see in this world is my boss forcing my employees to work overtime. In this case, the employee forces the boss to go on a business trip like this. It's true that I just saw it for the first time. The two of them walked for a while before arriving. Hasht's scene is now extremely gloomy and gloomy. Right from the entrance, I knew that. Boss is causing big trouble today. Patrick sighed boredly. Normally there are 4 ways to check. See a living village. How to develop. The first way is to see if the market is crowded. But the two of them went to the evening market in town. It's even more deserted than the Badan Pagoda. The second way is, see if there is a lot of smoke coming from the chimneys. But now it's past dinner time, so it's a bit difficult. What is the third way? Davar feels like it's a waste of time. The third way is, see how many conquering teams there are. Located on the Conquest Quest bulletin board. But because Hasht doesn't have that, ignore it. So what the hell are you still checking at this hour? Let's go back and ask, there's still a last resort. Inns and taverns. The two of them walked and talked. Already in front of the biggest pub in town. Don't wait for Patrick to say anything more. Davar himself rushed in first. When I mention alcohol, I immediately get excited. I mean, the owner still has room. But I haven't even had time to say it yet. Black Skin was surprised by the silent scene before his eyes. This was not beyond Patrick's prediction. There is no human model inside. This is the worst case that can happen. Harton is no longer a normal town. Not far away at the Hasht border. The bodies of dead people become mountains. They all died terribly in the night rain. The scene became even more terrifying. It's been hard for everyone. After scanning Hasht, we will go to the capital city of Lias. This is the enemy's central territory. Humanity is weaker than ever. Before the Black Disaster. This is the most appropriate time.
Tout destroy 10 empires.
If you look closely, you'll notice. This is not the strange tall and thin name from yesterday. Pretending outside the city walls. Hasht or what? What matters is the face. He's just a skull. It's easy to spot no matter how you look. This is a monster. Patrick and Davar stayed at the tavern to look around for a while. The condition seems serious. It's more than they imagined. Watch out for Hasht. Just suffered a terrible attack. And now it's completely paralyzed. Who are you? A trembling voice rang out from the attic. I am the owner of this pub. For what purpose do you come here? It's not difficult to realize that. He is very stressed and scared. To reassure the enemy, Patrick spoke up. Introduce that. They are the Knights of the Dark Pataran Subjugation Team. Comes from any chance. We stopped by here. Just want to eat a simple meal. Then just stay overnight. When you know the other person is a customer. The new shop owner relaxed a bit. He went downstairs. But then again. Sorry, in the shop. There was no longer enough food for one night. Or rather, not just in this pub. Even if we dig up this village. There are no more places left. Food again. Is hung due to that black disaster? Turns out he also knew that. I'm sorry, but my shop. Currently there are no more rooms available to stay. We hope you will sympathize with that. Patrick appeared to think for a while. It seems like this situation is about water bills. Meals are more expensive than room fees. But it's okay. What can't be solved with money? It must be solved with a lot of money. Patrick generously threw 1 point of shiny gold to the innkeeper. Sure enough, his attitude changed immediately. Fast as a squirrel. The owner gave Patrick directions and invited Patrick to leave and go upstairs. Please come this way. When Patrick walked up the stairs, the new shop owner noticed the small figure. I go behind him. Please ask who this person is. Oh, he is my servant. That's what I call a servant. He helped me a lot. So we shared a room. Devar was not very happy when being called a servant by your subordinates, in front of outsiders. But to be fair, look at the current facade of the two people. You really look like Patrick's servant. When the two people reached the room, Devar was quite surprised by the quality. The rooms here are better than expected. At least it costs 8 silver for a room in the capital. But before that he shared an aria. Having hired Davidair, he lazily jumped into bed. Then started blaming Patrick. Now, you cannot think of a more suitable identity. Besides accepting me as a servant, it's not impossible to think of, which in that case, only that identity is the most reasonable. He looked at the outfit he considered most comfortable. Present on your body. If you go out, but continue to dress shabbily like that, then people will still treat you. It's no different from being a beggar. Patrick stopped after speaking for a long time. Then even treated worse than beggars. At that time, Patrick introducing Devar as a servant is too reasonable. Even slaves are a low class. No different than beggars. But at least outsiders will still look at the owner. But don't dare touch them. Patrick looks so fierce. Introduce yourself again as a knight. Surely the shop owner will not dare to make things difficult. It's easy to put on. By the way, this boss, Star, he went out on duty and felt like he was on vacation. What if? In my next life, I will definitely be reincarnated as a rock. Let's see. Well then, just rest and he'll go out for a bit. This is their first day out. Davidair advised Patrick not to try too hard. But Patrick doesn't want to waste time. Anyway, it's night now. It doesn't matter how much he wants to move around. Who knows? This time Patrick also heard a little bit. Reason. But the black disaster struck most of Hashtin's territory. It's because of royal wrath. When faced with an impending disaster. And they certainly need someone to step up, too. Leng. Take responsibility for the conquests of the ancient core. Suffered 7 consecutive defeats. However, before the royal family could intervene. Then Lord Hashtin, a physician, passed away. His death. Still a big question mark in Patrick's mind. So who is Lord Harton now? Makes me curious now. It's clear that the royal family is making a series of mistakes. When too focused on conquering the ancient core. But instead of admitting that mistake, they blamed the great families of the empire. Patrick thought to himself if he were a descendant. The doctors. Can I sit in that lord's chair? Or not? Thinking about this, Patrick was as quick as lightning. Jump on the rooftops. To get to Lord Harton's castle. Well, let's go see the new lord first. But this is more complicated than Patrick thought. Because even though there are very few people in the town, there are still a lot of guards at the lord's castle. He began to consider, see if I should knock them all out or not. But what kind of thing is that? Tomorrow morning there will be another set of problems. Speedy desire fails. Patrick jumped up and decided to go back to the inn to sleep. But on the way back, there was one thing that changed Patrick's decision. It seems humans don't realize that, but he noticed it very clearly. It was the scent of an extremely strong corpse, emitted somewhere from within this territory. At the same time, the black man was sleeping on his back at the inn. Then I was awakened by a loud knock on the door. Mr. Knight, are you in there? I thought there was something stressful going on, so Daver had to open the door. He lied that his master had gone out for a night walk. The innkeeper did not suspect anything. It's just that he just cooked a late-night meal, even though food is scarce. But Patrick paid 1 gold too generously, so he wanted to give something back. Speaking of which, we haven't gotten to know each other yet. I'm a Nova Hetker. Just call me Nova. What about you? I am Swado. This Swado guy hopes he will be happy when he goes down. The remaining food is just enough for me to make a few dishes. Davar really didn't think. The situation here is so bad that there is not enough food to eat. But Nova considered it more than a disaster. All those who witnessed the black disaster with their own eyes, they all went crazy. As for the medical lord, he ended his life immediately afterward. Then you see it too. Hashton's information is completely cut off with the outside world. Internally, neither externally nor internally. Just get out of the city wall. There will be bodies of starving people lying around in piles. The shop owner Kia is also kind. Remind Daver and Patrick to leave this place quickly, although he did not know what the purpose of the two people was. But Nova herself was about to leave, although I don't really want to leave Hashton. But you know humans when cornered. Surely anything can be done. Now on the windowsill, suddenly a pair of dirty feet appeared. A child appeared, with messy red hair, and a face filled with hunger. While Daver followed the innkeeper, he went downstairs. The child immediately used sly eyes. Lean observed the room for a while, then jumped inside. It flashed a mischievous smile. Well, they saw the condition of the village like this, but still chose to stay. So it's definitely someone from outside. Then it also realized. The room where Daver and Patrick lived. It is the most expensive room. From there, it can be inferred that these two people have a lot of money. The motive for the crime was very clear. This kid wants to steal valuable things to sell, take money and even Davar's rag-like clothes. But he also intended to keep it to cover stolen items. Replace cloth bags. The child walked over to a chest in the room. But when I saw it was empty inside, its expression immediately became very bad. Don't move, don't tell me. They took everything and left here. But with unwavering faith, it continued 6 times throughout the entire room. Finally, he found something in a drawer. I knew right away that they couldn't take all the stuff. Isn't that right? But it's not fun yet. I saw him breaking out in a cold sweat. Looks like it saw something. But I shouldn't have looked. At midnight, Patrick returned. After the visit to the Lord's castle. After eating and drinking, Davar sat up on the bed. Originally, Patrick wanted to get a look at the new lord. But there was a stricter guard than he thought. So I had to return empty-handed. But boss, have you discovered anything? Patrick was just asking as a formality. But don't expect anything. In a lazy guy like my boss, Davar of course had no harvest. Except what you know now. Harton was almost isolated from the outside world. Earlier, Davar tried to get information from the innkeeper, but it seems he doesn't know much. I didn't expect Patrick to hear this news. He showed an expression like he had just been struck by lightning. He doesn't think. My boss can really do something useful even though it's only collection 11. Something everyone already knows. that Hashtin has been isolated from the outside world. So tomorrow, let's learn more about isolated Hashtin. Go boss. If Patrick still had eyes, then he will definitely show his expression now. His eyes sparkled like a puppy. But DVAR is lazy. I don't want to show my face out of the house at all. Patrick did not like this trait of the Lord at all. Obviously going out to wear clogs. But in the end, we are the only ones working. Say it again. Patrick suddenly noticed 2 open windows. When he left, he only opened the door slightly. Now open both doors. It's like inviting a thief in. Boss, please limit opening the window as much as possible. At this rate, we'll be robbed. Daver showed a puzzled expression. From the moment I entered this room, the scope of his activities. Just rotate around the bed. No one touches the window. Haha, come on boss, there's no way that could happen. The wind cannot open the door latch by itself. Or do you really think it was done by a ghost? It's okay if a ghost steals something. Surely someone had opened the window. But not me. Davidair finished speaking. I was also startled by my statement. He sat up and looked around for the enemy. Indeed, the cloak is gone. That shirt was made by Dorina. If I don't see it, I'm afraid Davidair will be cut to pieces. And Patrick's stuff also evaporated. He still looked confused. More than my master. What have you lost? Patrick turned his head with an extremely gloomy expression. It's my ribs. At this time the culprit stole. Davar's rag and Patrick's ribs were high. Run far away. This kid's name is Rosalina. Run away from the inn quite a distance. Then it was stopped by several men. They don't seem very happy. When it was night, Rosalina was still wandering outside. The little girl argued that she had a legitimate reason. This time I do it for everyone. But the other man was not only unmoved, but he also raised his neck and shouted at her. It's true. Just waste your physical strength in vain. And make yourself hungrier. It's for everyone. It's not in vain. Please try this and see. Rosalina also determined not to give up. Another man's voice rang out, interrupting 2 people's verbal sparring session. Don't be too strict. A man with a big name. Kia and Rosalina turned their heads at the same time. The man who just arrived was called the leader by the girl. He thinks he shouldn't get angry with her. Because you shouldn't be afraid of the dark. Rosalina's mistake was not saying a word to them, but just wandered. Harton was now a mess. He thought it was her actions. Can cause a lot of trouble for everyone. This place is not the same as the old house. I have opened my warm arms to welcome you. Rosalina then bowed her head and mumbled an apology. Yes, I will be more careful, leader. The reprimand is over. The leader also wants to know. Rosalina has been going nowhere this evening. She excitedly put down the bundle on her shoulder, then spread it out on the ground. When Tot saw what was inside, his face was not very good. Meanwhile, Rosalina was still engrossed in talking about how she had stolen this thing. In the most expensive room. On the main street. She believes that the white thing is an antique. Very valuable. The man called the leader. There was silence for a few seconds. Finally decided to tell him the horrifying truth behind this antique item. Rosalina, this is a human rib. Rosalina's face immediately turned pale. The child was extremely panicked, because it didn't know these were human bones. Tot even doubted whether he had gone to dig a grave. But Rosalina firmly denied. The leader picked up the bone to examine it. He thinks that this thing is either used for cruel hobbies, someone's perversion, or used in magic. Yes, no normal person would collect 10 human bones. They all began to feel afraid. If this belongs to people who have studied spirit magic, or black magic, that's so gay. Not to mention the clothes Rosalina brought back. If you just look at it, it looks like a beggar's clothes. But when I picked it up, the leader is easily recognized. It is made from the highest quality fabric. When he lifted it up, I also heard noises coming from my shirt pocket. What was inside dazzled them. It's a handful of gold coins. Rosalina's eyes immediately glowed. But the leader became hasty. You idiots, this is not the time to be happy. Hey leader. But it took me so much effort to earn it. Rosalina's leader. Breaking out in cold sweat. Guests stay at a luxury inn in a ruined village. No matter how you think about it, this is not simple. Furthermore, the stolen item was also a human rib, and clothes made from high-quality fabrics. Inside there was also a large amount of gold coins. He knew that the leopard cub had provoked the wrong person. As expected, he just thought of this. Davar and Patrick have already arrived. Hello thieves, we're here to get our stuff back. Black Skin looked at what was in his hand. The leader confirmed that his belongings were still safe. He breathed a sigh of relief. That shirt is gone. Actually, Lena will let him sleep on the street. Patrick also felt like a burden had been lifted. If Green gets angry again, he's not sure either. Did you blow up their dungeon too? Rosalina's leader is also a noble man. Before this situation, even though I'm very scared, but he still went up to block her in two. How you found out, we don't know.
Patrick shrugged.
It seems that those items long for their owners. Daver picked his nose and yawned. Now I just want to go back to sleep. Seeing the Lord having morning sickness again, Patrick also slept. Want to resolve this quickly. He asked the other leader to return the items. Then the two of you won't calculate anything anymore. But the leader also seems to be a solid person. He was afraid that after getting his things back, Black and Patrick will not keep their word and kill them. His intuition always told him, the two people in front of you are extremely dangerous. Because even if they track Rosralia, it was too dark for them to find their target. So fast. Unless these two people are demons. So absolutely impossible. He thought to himself. I was also scared by this very thought. Back. Rosalina the leopard does not know how thick the sky and earth are. Still holding Patrick's ribs tightly. The child's leader. Then he reached out and grabbed the other two pieces of bone. Then put it before him. This rib must be very important to you. Yes, of course. It is a part of our body. After Patrick himself confirmed this, the leader then threw two bones. Fly high into the sky, while it hasn't fallen yet. He then asked Tot to evacuate the remaining people. Patrick ran up frantically. Hold up your two bones. To the point of lying down. Go to the ground at this time. A guy lurked from the dark alley next door. Rush out and beat him. A blow straight to the head.